You have said that it's time to face the fact that the PPP didn't work, and we have the House voting on changes to the small business program next week. What are your thoughts here on how effective the U.S. government is in serving the small business needs at this very precarious time? Is the state of the political system in America today doing what it needs to do for America?
So there's a couple questions there, right? Let's start with the beginning with the PPP. In conception, it was great. In execution, it didn't work. And here's why. It's called the Payroll Protection Program. And the reason for that is we wanted to keep people connected to their employers. In order for that to happen, we needed to fund that program very quickly. The speed wasn't fast enough. So as a result, we've seen all these layoffs, and we've got companies who now have received PPP funding who may or may not be able to open up, but can't bring their workers back for two reasons. One, some of them are making more on unemployment than they would be if they came back. And two, they don't know if the demand is there to justify opening up. And so whatever we do going forward, we need to be on the demand side. So we need to create consumer demand. And with the federal jobs program, and I call it transitional because I don't want it to be permanent, we need to start creating jobs so people have an opportunity to get off the unemployment rolls and start contributing to the economy.
The second part of that question really was, what is the government not doing or doing that how can they be serving the public better here? You've made a lot of policy proposals, and I'm wondering how many of those are being taken into action.
I think we're too partisan now. The Democrats are trying to be Democrats and the Republicans are trying to be Republicans. And we don't seem to have any type of data analytics or being data driven. Right? We're not talking to small businesses. I did a survey here in Dallas that we just finished actually, and only 56% of the companies that were able to open up actually did. We asked a lot of those who did open up what the challenges are, and they say it's ineffective and very difficult for them to pay their bills, even with PPP support, when they're only able to open up 50%. So some of them are looking at closing back down because the demand is not there. In order for our politicians to have the right programs, they need to be having those conversations and look to see what type of aid is going to benefit not just businesses, but employees. Because if we don't have consumer demand and we don't have people employed, we won't have consumer demand. And without consumer demand, businesses won't be able to stay open.
There's a lot that you're looking at here. And Mark, I'm sure I'm not the only person that's wondering this. What are your own political ambitions?
Yeah, those are irrelevant. Obviously, I don't think anything's going to happen this election cycle, so put those aside. My goal is just to try to help. I mean, I work a lot with small businesses. I'm an investor in more than 200 of them. I've been supportive and helping at the White House level, the SBA level. So, I've got a lot of experience in doing this. So I'm just trying to do the right thing and be a good American citizen.
At the White House level, the conversations that you're having, I'm really curious about. What is being received well? The idea of giving another round of $1,000 checks to Americans, is that something that is realistic from the White House perspective?
Well, they haven't responded to it, so I guess not. But, I'll give them credit. They've given me a person as a liaison, and they listen. The only thing they've really responded to is a program called back2worksafely.org, because it's important that organizations, retail-facing companies that want to open up or are trying to open up know what safety concerns they need to address in order to keep their customers and employees safe. So they did put that link on the CDC, and I give them credit for that. But everything else, they've kind of done it the way they wanted to do it.
Well, speaking of that, because you have been really shepherded here by Trump to be thinking about what reopening may look like, is he doing enough?
I lost you.
Do you believe that Trump is doing enough at this current time, given that you are kind of on this council or you've been considered for this council to reopen the U.S.? What else can be done?
I'm getting a dual feed here, so I'm not quite hearing your question, but they've been receptive. I've talked to groups in Treasury. I've talked to groups across the White House. They listen, but I think they're so caught up in everything. And you know what? Let's just say this. Everybody has imperfect information right now, and that's the challenge. We really don't know what data to trust as we're going forward. And that makes it tough in terms of what they're doing. It makes it tough for small businesses. It makes it tough for consumers. Effectively, we're asking the question, who do we trust with our lives? and we don't have an answer.
So, Mark, we talked about the House. We just talked about the White House for a second. Want to think about the Federal Reserve here for a second, because there are a lot of programs here that are injecting trillions of dollars into companies, potentially cities and states, even more moving forward. At what point do we think about moral hazard here?
I don't think we're at that point yet. Look, when you look at some of the bailout programs that were put in place because there was so much liquidity, Boeing and others didn't take full advantage of it. Now we've got the Main Street Loan Program that loans up to $25 million to companies up to 4 times their EBITDA, and a second version of it that does 6 times EBITDA, and that hasn't even been opened up yet. So I'm not worried about moral hazard. We've got companies that are eligible for those programs that haven't even been able to apply. What I'm concerned about is whether we're negotiating well for taxpayers. So when we start doing these really big loans as part of the Main Street program, we should be asking for stock or options or warrants or grants in exchange for that, just like any other investor would do, like I would do if I was making that investment personally. I think that's really what we have to do, because taxpayers deserve a return for their investment.
So there's a huge difference here between the Main Street program and what's being done for a lot of these larger corporations, which you started to get at with negotiating for some of these rescues. So what industries do you feel like are most victim to falling prey to the idea of moral hazard here, given that so many larger companies also are receiving this aid?
I don't know the answer to that question. Right now, things are so much in flux, and we're going through a reset in the whole hospitality industry, the event industry, the sports industry. I don't know that so much is about moral hazard as much as it is about what happens if we don't get more people employed quickly. If we don't have more people with jobs and we have to continue to subsidize them with unemployment, it's going to be very difficult for the economy to rebound, because people aren't spending money when they don't have certainty about their future employment. And you see that in the numbers. Savings rates are past 14%, which is the most they've been in 40 years. And so we're going to have to address consumer demand more than anything right now, because without that demand, then businesses can't stay open.
Mark, you have a pretty optimistic view here about an America 2.0, a vision of what this world can look like coming out of this. What industries will survive and thrive as the economy does look past the coronavirus crisis?
I think companies and industries that really have a digital focus. We started off as an agrarian economy, went to industrial, then we went to a hybrid of digital and personal interface, the Ubers, et cetera. Now we're seeing a mass wholesale shift to purely digital. People are now looking to buy produce, everything they possibly can online. And companies that embrace that and simplify it and create better experiences are going to excel. Those who are waiting for you to walk into the door of a store are going to be challenged.